present it to yourself without wrinkles, without blemish, without this, and you wash it with the word. And you're supposed to be able to do this with words. And God said, be patient. You want to know what patience is? Patience is about 30 years. I don't, it could be, and it could be longer. I think Abraham waited a long time to get his first child. And then after that, he didn't wait, he actually tried, he actually intervened a little bit after harassment from his wife. And then he went directly to kill her. God asked him to kill her. But some things are just straight out. Marriage is very important as a structural unit for a nation, a church, a family, a gathering. Family unit is basically because it represents how God treats the church. And that, if you would like to emphasize in Ephesians, it says, and this is a mystery. We don't understand it because we don't do it. If we did it, then we would understand it. And there are many more mysteries that we don't understand because we don't do them. Now, when my son was 4 years old, he asked me, we used to read the Bible. So I have a 4-year-old asking me I've asked my people a question today. If God knew everything so well, that God saw it and it was good, even on the birthday, even when God saw it was good, even when it was 7th day, 3rd day, 4th day, the other time. But God made light and it was good. How come he had to make it twice? And that is the first question that you write down. I know you guys are like sleep. We saw it. First question, one series. That's why the book is sponsored. Because I go there, write it down. There's a reason for it. I need you to think about it. So give you about 30 seconds, write the question down, think about it. If God created light and it was good, God evaluates looks into the future and fixes things before they happen. How come he had to create his life? And this starts off where we talked about this one side. This is a very one-sided conversation about it. I understand how one-sided it is. For some one-sided conversation from the other side, I feel it ain't because God will at least hear it, you can share it, and I don't be appropriate now. The question is, if God made light, like everything God did, how come that can make it again? On the point that he made light again. But first of all, blow out. Let go. And the light was there. It was God. So the light was good. The body did was dark. And then I want the light, David want the darkness. And then one day it says, let there be someone who stars for seasons and symbols. Yes, signs and seasons. And the sun will rule over the day, the moon will rule the night. And it didn't say what started. Okay. But he had to make his life. Why did he do that first? So now we're going to talk about one of my special topics is how reference read this before, so you can let him. How Genesis is prophetic. Okay? Now, I have it on my phone, but you can find if you Google time between Adam and Christ, you get the pictures come all the way down. It's 4,000 years. And if you take our year and add 4,000 to that, you get 6,000. That puts us almost in the middle of 7 But 6 millenniums have gone by. And some people, there's a text that says, a day with Christ is like 1,000 years. Now, some people like to use that for creation because they can't believe that everything happened in that one day. There's no way he made all the trees in that one day. There's no way possible he made all the fish in that one day, made all the birds in that way. There's too many of them. There's no way possible that he made all the animals in that one day. And then, man, woman, and then they must have been like 1,000 years. So that verse is not for that purpose. That verse is for God kicked Lucifer out. The verses talk about when he was kicked out, but I'll show you where it is when we come back to the in the analogy. But he kicked them out of heaven, and when he kicked them out of heaven, when he kicked them out of heaven, time started. That's when time would have started. Okay? Because the devil was an angel before, and he had light. He was kicked out to the earth, and it says that the angels were in chains of darkness. That the world will get into that moment. Let's take a look at just for the point, and you have a notebook in front of you, right? You can turn inside. Before you do that, why is it start to tail back to the angry? Why did God have to create like twice? Oh, God went faster than that. That's why I got a lot of cover. I got 6 days of cover. I told you. What's your name? You told you why you gotta have to create like twice. Why did you create? Yeah, I know you said perfectly create a life, then you created the sun on the fourth day. Yes, you have to do it twice. Wow. That's efficient. I said we have to ask the question, since it wasn't the sun on the first day, it's a different type of life. It's a different type of life. That's, I agree with you on that. And that's, the answer's in there. And that's very true. So you're on target. Why you gotta be like that? You go to ladies, what are your names again, please? Savannah. Why did God have to be like twice? Well, I have a mic. You can talk about it. Do you know why? You guess. You guess. You got it. Just because you don't have a book doesn't mean you can answer. Leave a guess. Yes.
The reason why he created light twice.
Yes.
Well, I'd say from the first one, he poured it out. And later, the second one, he made a division in it.
First one, did what?
He poured it out. But later, he made the divisions out of it. That's when we go to the
there were no human beings around. God didn't see the future. Right? I understand what you're saying, but it is. Doesn't have a lot of weight. Okay. From the moon and the stars. The light was from the moon? Yes, the light was from the moon and the stars. Now, so let's start with a different. I started asking you this question. Now again, he's 4 years old. And we're having studies. And I've been answering everything else. And my son asked me this question. It took me a long time. I asked him everything else. I couldn't answer this one. And that's why I remember it today. I mean, that was like, I mean, that's outrageous. How do you see that? I think it'll overwhelm me. So let's take a look at the third day. And that's just for the comparison in prophecy, right? On the third day, God created what? What verse again? Genesis 1, verse 9. The land came forth, yes. And we don't have the land came forth, and divided the sea, we had dry land. And the seed, and the season, and food and vegetation. That's what happened on the third day. So if you go to the third millennium will start right about 2000 BC and go to 1000 BC. And you can Google this. When did Abraham show up? Abraham shows up just about 2000 BC. Okay? So from 2000 BC to 1000 BC, you have Abraham all the way to King David. And you know what you have for Abraham? You have dry land. Let me show you the dry land that we have. We have dryness, very, very dry. Genesis 1, 9, and 10, that's up there. Exodus 14, 16. But if thou lift up thy rod and stretch it across and hold it over the sea, it and divided, the Israelites will go across dry land. That's what we see dry land there. But the Israelites were in Egypt, and Egypt was dry. That's another one to remember. Joshua, and it came to pass, the priests, they had the ark, the covenant. They actually walked into the water up to their knees before it opened up. But after that, now, for the Red Sea, they had to go all night long for it to dry. But from the point where they walked in from their knees, that opened up and it dried right away. That's what happened. Genesis, and there was Genesis 12, 10. And there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down into Egypt and sojourned there. And the famine was grievous in the land. So Abraham starts off in a famine, in dry land. And there was one dry land. I'll just give you some more. And I'm giving you all this that way. You won't think that I'm just coming out. I just want to really match up. All of this happens at the very beginning of the third millennium, which is equivalent to the third day, and it covers 1,000 years. And there was Genesis 21, 26, there was a famine in the land, and Abraham Judges. Judges is right about the time where that's far ahead? Yeah, that's way too far ahead. It's right, it's still in the millennium, but you have a miracle that's acts of God. And he doesn't know whether or not he should do this fight. So he says, I will put a fleece on wool on the floor, and the dew will be on the fleece only, and the dry, and let it be dry on the earth beside it. And then I will know that I was able to do it, and thou hast, like you said. And then later on he said, well, that was too easy. Let's do it the other way around. So let's make the fleece dry and keep everything else wet, and it still worked out that way. So Gideon didn't really do the fight. Joseph went and talked to Pharaoh about his dream. It was about the famine that was going to come up. And the famine was very severe, and it made Joseph from that point became second to Pharaoh because of the dryness in the third millennium. This dryness is a way of God he lets you know, if you didn't think that the Bible was real, or some prophecies are hard to read, but I like this prophecy because it's right in the beginning of Genesis, and you don't have to really do major calculations like 123 days and a half represents a year, and then this or 7 weeks or whatever. It's just millennium year, it just maps right out. Okay. So I won't read all the text, but there's Gideon, Joseph, he talks about that one. Abraham again, Lot. Abraham and Lot had problems with their new one fight. Lot took the ring that had a lot of water. Abraham took the dry land. God appreciates how hard and very, very dry and burn them up. Okay? But then, and you can find that. Now, when you look sideways, you can almost draw a line down, 6 lines down, and you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And each column is there. You can make and say, on the first day, where we see light in the first millennium, which will be from Adam all the way to his death, or when Noah came, and Noah was born right at the very end. In the second millennium, where do we see the vision? Huh? The first millennium occurred from Adam would be 900 and okay, so 7 years after that. Noah was born right before that time. And so Noah got 2 more, or Noah was born after that. So this is just a little bit, but it's really mentioned. Noah comes in right before, at the end of the first millennium, the beginning of the second millennium. And then 500 years later, that happened. But on the second day, there's a division of water. How does that apply to that millennium? On the third day, we're going to that. Now, on the fourth day, God creates sun, moon, and stars, a different type of light. How does that apply to the fourth millennium or the fifth millennium? That's what you put in column. And you don't write the answers right in there. You don't have to write down all everything, but you write in on the fifth day. How does the fifth day apply to the fifth millennium? How does the sixth day apply to the sixth millennium? And we're now in the seventh millennium. How does that apply to us now? And I'll give you something really interesting. Every day has a evening and a morning. From day 1 through 6, except the seventh millennium. So the seventh millennium is very special. Okay? So just going through right here. And these are things that God gives us so that when we would know that it's true, it's true. Some people don't, but we know it's true. So let's go what? Get out, go into the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan was renowned for. They came back with big bundles of grapes. The grapes were huge. The people were huge, they were huge, the food was huge. And that directly corresponds to the vegetation that was created on the third day. On the second day, now, I don't think many people realize this, but realize that in the second millennium, there was a flood, right? Yes? Are we awake? In the second millennium, there was a flood. There was a flood with Noah. Noah, everybody raise your hand if you got that. Noah had a flood, happened in the second millennium, right? Right about the middle. God had repented because the animals was going against him, and he had a flood. And the prophecies of other parts of the Bible, water represents people. And the people were divided in a day, upper, above, and below. And before that, water kind of just was all over the place. And so, in some versions, it says that, in the second version, King James says darkness was upon the deep, but one place they changed it. And it's not what it says people. It says watery darkness was upon the deep. It wasn't watery darkness because the Spirit was upon the face of the waters on top. And so the waters are spread out. And I don't know what God had to do that. You could change the polarity of the water molecule because it is polar because the two ends they don't have high electrons, so they're both negative, and the middle is positive. But you can stack in my place and be polar. That's why water is so heavy. They stack statically together. And that's chemistry thing. I'm a scientist, and science corresponds to creation very much. So, and then when they right now, I have my time, right? So I'm just going to go through a couple of things and give it to you. Give these answers real fast. The people were divided by time. When the flood came, we divided only 8 people were in the ark. So all the people that were divided together, half of them were on one side before it, and the other half were on the other side of the ark. So they were divided by time. Then they were divided by speech. God says, look at the moon is all the way up to the side, they couldn't do anything. So he divides them by speech. And people ask, now, and I don't know when the pyramids were built, but it would have been possibly within this time period after the flood, which is a couple hundred years. And a lot of these things were built. I think that he built was one, but I don't. But we have vortex all over the place. The Bermuda Triangle, all the other places, and they were in a different pattern before. And if you take that pattern and you rearrange it, now we point to certain stars, but what did they point to before? Only God knows sincerely. But God, there was no continental drift. Okay? Continental drift theory was a theory that lasted until 1929. And what happened was they said, we can't have continental drift theory anymore because people are complaining about it. But it's not that they complain about it, we can't put it that way. We can't say the continental drift because of any particular power source. What's the power source of the continental drift? We know how birds fly. We don't know how continents drift. Am I drifting now? So, if I'm not drifting now, what made them drift? Here it goes out. And then you see fish might will. And the law of migration going on. Why did the age drop down? But you couldn't get the same food. If you needed a well-balanced diet, it could have been well-balanced. As a matter of fact, they had them around men back then. They were giants. But you ripped them open, and the giants went down a little bit. But a lot of that was washed away. Some species did not survive the weeks of rain. Some of it was in another area. It might have been in the Amazon. But other people didn't get it over here. Some things are active. Some things that we see require a double gene, or sometimes they require 2 separate genes that are not double, but they also require the correct nutritional atmosphere. We were discussing this last night. Up to about 1980, all Oriental people were short. And then they started getting more protein in their diet, having football players, 8 feet tall, and nothing happened. They just started eating different. That's all. Okay. So that takes care of this. Do you see the correlation on the second day? No. We didn't do first day. We didn't do second day. First day is, the thing is that we started on first day. First day is a little more complicated because we are concurrent. The first day happens during the first living. If we start there, so we started off with other areas. We started off with the second millennium and the second day. So that way you can see that the waters were divided, top and bottom, And the thing is that on the first day, it tells you darkness covered it, and God killed you. And so that would be the dark angels. But it wasn't water. So the waters were divided, then water covered the whole thing. And we know the whole thing was divided because on the third day it was necessary to divide the water so you can have dry land. There was no dry land on the third day. So that meant that it had to be flooded on the second day. The second day corresponds to the flood on the second millennium. So that's Noah's millennium by condition. And that's a very key thing here. That's a very key. We use words that we don't use definitions in our Bible to understand certain things. So that's people that's one reason why we went to do the first day. So we went from this. You understand the second day at all? Third day. Everybody's doing second and third day. The thing is that you can do more research. You're not limited to this. There's more in there than this, but this is all we do this time. Okay, so we'll go a little bit faster to pick up the pace, okay? We're going to go to the fourth day. On the fourth day, and we mentioned this a couple of days ago. On the fourth day, talking about Samuel, 1 Samuel 8, chapter verse 7. The children of Israel tell God that tell Samuel that we don't want to be judges anymore. We want a king. And God was like, but I'm your king. You don't want me to rule over you. That's all that told Samuel. Don't fret. Don't be upset with them. They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting me. They came up and they said, you're getting old. Your son is going to act like you do. So they blamed him for getting old. They blamed his sons for not doing the right thing. But they are asking for a king. They're not acknowledging their accusing, just like Adam. We don't want God to rule over us. They didn't say remove your sons. They said remove God. God wasn't pleased with that. He warned them in that chapter exactly what would happen, and then it happened. Now, up to that point in time, they were judges, and they were not judges and talk to everybody individually, like we did almost at Mount Sinai. So I talked to people, and people said, "Oh no, we don't like God talking to us. We talk to him, and we'll get later, and we'll agree." And so they don't want to talk to God. They don't want a king. They want a king to right out in front. Before God can right out in front of them, but they won the battle because no one was dying. Now they have a king right out in front of them. The king has, yes, threatening them to walk them out. But the king doesn't fight out himself. So what they get what they ask for. They have every man, he said, every man has a gun, and that's what happens to God. Right? That's what's going to happen to our cattle. That's what we asked for. They got what they asked for. They asked for that. Things were okay. So now we have kings. And from King Saul until Caesar's, that covers a 1,000-year period. So during the first evening and the morning, during the first 500 years, we call that evening. So the first 500 years talks about mostly God's people rejecting. And God's people going back to darkness. And Adam is the same. By the time they get to Noah, it's the same. Noah, the people had rejected him. Abraham was there. All the people that rejected him, except for Abraham. The people rejected him. Abraham did something. Abraham separated his son from mine, and what worship of God. A lot of things just go wrong. So now that we're in this one, Saul doesn't listen to God, and he goes and listen to him. He's a king alive, and his wife alive. Samuel kills the king, the wife one that only got away killed yesterday. So if you understand that, going on there, get judged by how King that. King David does valiant. He has too much blood in his hands, but he's still the tells him you kill it and stuff for it. He can't build it. Solomon for wisdom. He gets the wisdom, but he doesn't. He uses it again. Every one position like that, he started and he lost. He lost 83% of Israel. It was all tribes. He lost 10 of them. He only had 2 left. God allowed him to stay because of what he had promised David. He promised David that his birth, his son, would be in his lineage, and in order for him to be in his lineage, Solomon had to go and have people. So that's how the other 10. And so then each one of the kings were back. Some of the kings were good, some of the kings were bad. By the time you get to the right before battle, one of the kings had been was doing sacrifice. He was sacrificing his children, and he was taking out of Israel with a war. And Israel at this point in time, they wanted the kings, so now they're judged by the kings. When Saul asked for that witch, Saul lost that battle. He lost his sons. It was a bad battle. David won his battles. Again, Solomon didn't, the other guy, if you didn't do what God said, and the people paid the penalty of their kings. The 3 Hebrew boys were good boys. You check them in the go, they were good. However, they were being judged by their king. So their king got wrong, they went to the exile. Now God's dealing with Nebuchadnezzar. But through the prophets of Israel. And so it's Shadrach, Meshach, and go, and then Daniel. And he doesn't do well. And several times God tells him, I put you in a place to take Israel and do what you did. You didn't do it. Stop saying it's your kingdom. I gave it to you. He did it a couple times, and God made him eat grass. God prophesied to him like he was his own child. And he knew that, and he just would not behave. And then he was taking Darius, put Daniel into the lion's den because he thought he was going to be God for a moment. You can't be God. They're judged by this. And then you get to the Greeks. The Greeks never acknowledged whatsoever. The Greeks were just hating whatsoever. But God had protected the Israelites. Alexander the first one, there's a couple of things back to know here. One would be that it's about 300 BC-ish, and that is when man first discovered that Earth was not the center of the world, or our solar system that they could see. They discovered that the sun was. And the sun was supposed to be a symbol that God was in the day, and the moon was a symbol that the reflection of God, which were the beast, the Messiah, through the night. And sometimes when you take a camera, when you take a picture of the moon, you just can't get it. You can see the definition of it, but it's hard to actually get that light and performance ratio, especially when it's full. Then they had a war with Israel. Some of the Israelites invited the Greeks in. The Greeks came and started slaughtering the Israelites. The Maccabees fought against them. They got the temple back after the temple. They took all the idols out. They had to rededicate it. There's a story that I can't find in the Bible. It says they took 8 days for the camel's birth and 8 days for well, I tried to find that, couldn't find it. However, it might be in tradition, I can't, but that's where the story comes from. Messiah celebrates it, I'm good with it. That book is good because Messiah participates with it. It's the feast of dedication. It's the feast of dedication of temples. Dedication of temples is very, very important because Christ came. The veil was ripped in the temple, which made it non-functional anymore. The Because he was the Lamb, and when he died, you became the temple, and you are now the temple of God. We're at the end of the fourth day. We're at the end of the fourth day. We're talking about light, and that light, the festival temple also called Festival Lights. That's why it's the lights. And it also prophesies to the actions of we call that the Messiah's ministry that's coming up. And it talks about the dedication of the temple, and then so Christ was dedicated, and then Christ in that dedicated us as temples. So that is a very special day. From that regard. It's not in the very beginning, and it's not in every Torah, but Christ, Messiah participated in it, and I'm good with that. We're going to go to day one. Day one is very important. And this is why it's confusing. On day one of creation, it was dark. You know, everything God has made after that was good, and it was a day. Everything God made before that was good too. It's a pattern, it's a template. So in this template pattern, that what happens is you can establish that the earth was good, but you have this problem in chapter verse 2 that says the earth was void and empty and void. Verse 2. It was empty and void. And because it was empty and void, it didn't say, I didn't finish creating it. It said empty and void. Something cannot be empty unless it was full before. It can't be voided unless it was valid before. It's like all the trees were good, so when the curse came and said something about the wrong epistles, why is that a curse? Because it wasn't there when God made it. So when you get to this part right here, it becomes a little bit complicated because you have this darkness that's on the face of the earth. And darkness has not been defined. And light has not been defined. And we fall into a problem right here because we think about light, we think about light bulb. Put it on your phone, you see the light bulb come on. That's what light is. And then we think about the light, the sun, the moon, stars. But we know it can't be that one because that was the next day. So then, what light did God put there, and what purpose does it have? Did it run out? Because apparently we don't see it now. That becomes a problem. So we have to define what light is. So that takes a little bit of research. You have to consider who wrote this. Genesis 1 is written by Moses, right? Moses doesn't write this until they're in the desert. Am I right? Right or wrong? This Moses starts to write this after being in the desert. When Moses is in the desert, exactly, on the way to Sinai, what did the children of Israel follow during the day to get there? So the fire was by night and the cloud by day. So, but that, it was the light. Everybody knew what the light was. You can ask the children. They had never seen a light like that. Everyone had never seen a light like that. They were like, whoa, that was something awesome to see. We don't see that. If we saw a light like that at night time, if a person mentioned the light, we would be thinking about that's the light. So when Moses writes down, let there be light, that light that they saw, which was God, is the same light that was in Genesis chapter 1. That would be first mentioned because that's the person who wrote it, that's the person who saw it. John clarifies that, but he says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and then he says the same was with God, and he says all things were created by him, and the next verse he says, in him was the light, and the light was the light of man. So when he comes down to let there be light, he created the angels just by saying that. And he should have been able to come down and say, I'm going to create man just like that too. But he had to form angels there. And that's all they created a problem. Because everything was empty and void. What he had made was not there anymore. So and they didn't accept forgiveness. Now, God is very forgiving. He forgives us. And we are an example for the angels to see what will happen. So when Moses makes that temple, and that's in Exodus, that's in out of the blueprint that's in heaven, that's because forgiveness is going on in heaven. Now, why is forgiveness going on in heaven? A lot of details are not given to us because we don't take what we're supposed to handle it. Why should we be given any more information? But Lucifer would have been offered forgiveness. Lucifer was seen in the garden by Isaiah or Ezekiel. He has 9 of the stones on his chest, of which the priest had 12. He had the same number. He had 9 of those stones. That's a priestly role for that. He's dressed in a priestly role before anything else happens. Right? He had the other clothes to wear. I don't know what else. Why he really had that on at one time. But he's seen people wearing this. And that's darkness. The darkness, that's what God recreates it because he comes there. He is the light. That light is God is the Messiah is that strong where he can light us up just enough without destroying us and putting on the clouds here, right? For Egypt, for Mount Sinai, all the way through the desert, Lord will do it for the very beginning. And in heaven, when we go there won't be a moon, there won't be a sun. He will be the one that lights up everything. So that light is a powerful light. It still exists. It still works. Now the sun was put there so that we can see. So that we can see at times and then he removed himself so that he can play a different role. But he's continuing with Lucifer evolving to that particular point in time. And I say this, the first part of it, the story that we're dealing with right now is the prophetic side of it. I'm going to touch one thing real fast. Because we see, when we first think about the creation story, we say God made light, God made firmament, God made land, God made men, God made some of the stars, God made fish and birds, and God made this. And then he was like, that was too complicated to learn, and God made, again, light, water, and then sky, and then he populated light, water, and then land. And then he populated the lights, and then populated the waters, and then populated the lands. That made it a little bit easier for people to remember the same. That's not the story. That's something that we pick up because we don't have time to read the Bible and understand it. Lucifer is fighting God. And so he got kicked out of heaven and destroyed the dead inside. He got to be buried there. And then he had to be buried there. God washes the mess up. He pulls the land back up, his glass over it. Lucifer starts what he's doing again. And he starts messing with the plants. Then he starts messing with the fish. And then God creates on the 6th day animals on the land. And then Lucifer's not messing with them, but then God creates these things called man. And man was made in the image of God. And Lucifer hated God. I think at that point in time he just dropped everything that he was doing was like, those are God things. I'm that big red or whatever. That's a God. That thing was like God. It's the image of God. It should be. Son of God. Oh my. What is that? First of all, what was his wife? I don't understand his wife. And now you have like God, and we had to be over who. I was the first. I've been here for 5 days. Where are you going to take me? It's only heaven and earth. Where am I going now? He needed to. He had dominion over everything. In perfection, they were not touchable. Untouchable was sitting and being outside the garden. And that's that. So you have the creation story tells us several things. It tells us of a battle that goes on between Lucifer and God for mankind. It tells us that God waited, instead of creating mankind right away, God waited all this time and etched us out. We look to the future and etched out his moves based on what we would do so that we could see, so that you and I, on this day, could look back and see it. You have to understand, Moses could look back and see this. He could look forward, or he couldn't, it wouldn't make sense to it. But we could look back and see it. On the fifth day, let's go a little bit back. So on the fifth day, you have the fish and you have the birds that fly. The birds that fly, a lot of prophecies, armies that move very fast, and destruction. The birds eat the flesh. And that's what happened when Rome got a lot of war, and the Jews had already been destroyed, and several empires during that 1,000-year period came in. The British came in, the Romans were there, the Catholics were there, a lot of bloodshed went on. The other thing is that God made them in the very beginning fishers of men. And so being a fisher of men was very important because they had to hide. And then it is said that they had a password. And one person would draw a fish on the ground, the other person would draw another fish on the ground, and they would know that they were safe based on that password. So the fish is not only a password for safety, they became fishers of men, that's how the kingdom grows. And after that, the birds destroyed everything and ate the flesh. That's what that prophesied. Like cooking. And again, the more you look into this, the fish also represents that the fish is an animal. So the animals that come on the land, they're kingdoms. When you look at Daniel, he's talking about the lion, those animals came from on the land. They were kingdoms. These were kingdoms under the water. They didn't come up. So there was no country that was really over nothing. They were just fighting back and forth. No one could really get a grip once one fell. Okay, and that also because the 10 kingdoms, they couldn't bind together, they were at the bottom, they rise above each other. All the kingdom that reached a lesser, that statue, was right along that timeline of kings that fell, but they did not follow God. Then God says that the woman in Revelation, that woman is going to be total for seasons, times, and half times. Right? That puts us in that very clear dark ages where they're just killing people almost from that point all the way up to until the 1400s. And on the sixth day, continuing, and then the animals that come up on the kingdoms. Now you see big nations, you have war, and big wars, World War I, War II. But the United States comes into the picture, British, all over the place, China comes in. We have very big countries, and they're on the land. And so, and also, man and woman are created on the sixth day. And every place has, I don't know who has slaves right now that are rule. But some places have slaves, but it's not a rule. Most of it is against the law. But people they'll fight back. But in the late 6th millennium, slavery was not, countries were fought against that slavery. We had this humanitarian kind of thing that people like the way things were treated. And now the 7 million things are starting to deteriorate, going back, and they said, they come out of Babylon, they just started to lean back in a way. With 6 millennium, you actually get a point in time where people are starting to experience freedom that they didn't experience before. Women are starting to experience freedom. There was no equal rights for women before way back then. You get equal rights for Adam, equal. That curse about man moving over, that was a curse. And again, that curse was removed. I can go over that real fast. But you guys are trying to, all the eyes are going down. So I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go here. The seventh day is suffer darkness, the rebellion And I'll use this for the opening of the seventh day. If you take verses Psalm 1999 and take the words of that, we're going to party like it, we don't care what's going to happen. Everybody brought the clocks, the walls going to go apart. All the clocks change over to 2000. And then the rise of homosexuality was made legal in the 70s. It was a diagnosis in the 1970s, and it was undiagnosed. But then from that point, they tried to tag themselves onto the rights of women and people. Okay, so they tried to, they're not going to let us go. They're not going to make it easier for us. By the time we went into this millennium, we're getting back to the way it was in Noah was, the way it was in Sodom and Gomorrah, the way it was in Christ is. We're getting back to that. So for people who are not reading the Bible right now, you should know that the Bible, the creation story, tells us several things. It tells us the plan of salvation. Because when you go back to the sun when it started, the moon is the only celestial body that's supposed to hit the earth. The body that is iron core and then came back and goes around it. And that's very important. You have the different seasons, you have the different times of the moon, and based on that, one of the parts will represent is that, and that's another story that we have time to if you want to talk about that later. But that gives us a pretty good hope. So you get that, you get the prophecy side of it, you get to see how God created things. In the first chapter, you see how all things were supposed to be created, everything went right. That's important. He separates the thing that how things went right, and then he tells you how he doesn't make it. He said, this is the generation of man, so he tells you what he did. He doesn't tell you what man did. So in chapter 2, verse 5, 4, it says, this is the generation of man. Now he tells you what man did. That's why you have to go back to the beginning. Starts with what man did. Okay, so there's no conflict. Man starts off on that first day. The first two, chapter 2 and 3 are dedicated to that first day of man's life. I spoke to a couple people afterwards, and they believe the same thing. That by the end of the time they sin on the night before that we would consider a honeymoon, the night that before they were going to Sabbath. They don't enter the Sabbath rest. And there's a book dedicated just into the Sabbath rest. They don't get that rest. But what they do get, as every other Sabbath does get, is forgiveness. The forgiveness of that Sabbath is why we have God stopped all of this. God stopped all the work that he did and made. But then, like every other Sabbath, when he was here in his ministry, he healed and resurrected people on Sabbath. Oh, it's Sabbath? Let's find them healed. There's a talk about this, but I healed that one leave on Sabbath, or they were dying. They were like a resurrection prayer. And so he heals them. And so it's the same thing. It's good to do good on Sabbath. Sabbath is for us, made for us. And that's why it's made for us, because it initiates our forgiveness. On the weekly Sabbath and then every other Sabbath, we all have the same thing, forgiveness. And I am going to, I'll talk about 2 minutes, because in our story of Genesis, you can see where they went bad, and you can see where it was supposed to be good. And we're right in the middle of that story down here, and we have the choice to pick which side we go on. Because you've already sinned. So all the interventions that I did for that story, you can see that he did them in advance, because he did the creation. He's telling you, I did these interventions because your father said and you said. So if you didn't think I was already here, I've already been here. I've seen this side. I know what you're going to do. And now, this is the reason why I did with this. If you know this is true, you have the choice. There is no predestination. It's always been a choice. And if you go on this point, if you go on the side of Adam, then Adam is your grandfather, great-great-grandfather, and you've been waiting for everything that happens. God will wait for everything that happens. That's what Adam did. If you go on the side of Christ is, then Christ doesn't let the woman, and she said, I forgive you, sin no more. So you see where I started is a full circle. It sounds like I digress, but this story is not like it's just somewhat matches. It takes it all together. Every prophecy that you go over fits right inside of this 6-day prophecy of creation, as it uses the same symbols as other prophecies do. There was who likes rockets? Like rockets? Rocket goes into space. You know what a rocket is? You know what a satellite is? It's a satellite way out. When they took that satellite out, they said that when we get to the rings of Saturn, they said that the satellite got to the rings of Saturn, we will be able to see the rings of Saturn, and by the rings of Saturn will correct us, and we will know what the origin of the earth is. And when I heard that as a scientist, I was like, ah! Because I had already written papers on a whole bunch of stuff. There were several papers that I wrote, and they get it, they had carbon dating. I was like, carbon dating doesn't work. The reason why carbon dating works is only because you have a line right at the point you got it open, but there's not going to be any carbon before that, and any animal before that, and it's going to look like millions of years. That's because of the flood. Then they changed how they did it. So I gave them, and I fought it, but then they changed it to something else. And I can't work with them like that, because then I can't study my Bible. So I left that alone. But when that machine got to the rings of Adam, you know what they found? You're going to love this. You know, guess what the rings of Saturn are made out of? Gas. Just take a gas. Huh? No carbon. What was in the beginning? Verse 2. The Spirit of God leaned upon the face of the waters. Water. The rings are made out of water. People represent water. It makes it very symbolic, because if God is leaning against the face of